Come join Kyle, John, and David as they go through what's on the playlist. Find out what's everyone's favourite at Chicken Soup for the Soul Entertainment. We have a few segments, to be honest. In and out points, no celebs and the gossip. Back in time where we're talking about the big M's, coming attractions, what the cue. Quick checks, who'll be laughing? You abundantly. Welcome to Dual Redundancy.
Yes, welcome to Dual Redundancy, the only podcast where you can hear all the latest about the 95th Academy Award nominations from too many else with exactly the same opinions. I'm one of those hosts, David Allen, and another one is...
John Berwick, and a third one is...
Kyle Bridger. I'm going to do this on the fly because I did not prepare myself, but I'm going to go with best... I am the best animated feature to John's best director to Dave's best PA.
Best PA?
Yep.
Oh, is that a category?
I
thought you were going to
it.
throw me like a... I thought you were going to give me like a Razzie, like the worst
Dave's
film. The
best Razzie Award.
Best Razzie Award, yes.
You know, live animated short film or, you know, something like that. Because there's this very specific animated short film that I'm sure you guys would have loved to have given one of its titles. But no, we're not talking about that quite yet. We're going to talk about some of the major nominations today. Overall stats for the 95th Academy Awards. We got a lot to break down. They were dropped just earlier today. I mean, just a few hours ago, we got all the nominations. We're going to react to them live tonight. Plus, we're going to talk about this show. John's been dying to talk about it. That 90s show. There's so much to do tonight. We're not even doing in and out points. We're going right to the Oscars. John, play the clip.
I think you're looking at an Academy Award nomination also.
Did he just say what I thought he said?
What? Yes, Victor!
Oscars. I smell Oscars.
You see what a little buzz can do in this town?
I predicted it. I said this is the one. This is the vehicle.
Morley, you told me not to do it.
All right, here we go. Last week we broke down all the nominations from SAG and PGA, DGA to kind of see where the Oscar race was maybe headed. Well, today we know because we got the 95th Academy Award nominations. We know where they're going. We got the nominations, so we're going to break them all down tonight. And let's start off with the big story. Everything Everywhere All at Once led with 11 nominations, followed by All Quiet on the Western Front and The Banshees of Inisherin with 9 nominations. Then it was Elvis with 8, The Fabelmans with 7, and Tar and Top Gun Maverick with 6 nominations. Those 7 films join Avatar: The Way of Water, Triangle of Sadness, and Women Talking as your 10 Best Picture nominees. Those are it right there. Those 10. Kyle, initial thoughts on those 10 Best Picture nominees?
I mean, I'm just surprised by some of them. I mean, Elvis, I'm so confused about Elvis because I keep hearing like parts of it that are not...
What are you worried about, Mama?
that are not good, but then it somehow is getting a lot of love. So I am so confused by this movie. I have not seen it yet. I guess I got to check it out now. I was kind of waiting to...
It's like the Don't Look Up of this year,
Yeah,
I guess. It's the one that's like people love, people hate.
I was kind of waiting to see whether I should invest my time with it. But love that Top Gun Maverick got some love. Avatar, I mean, to me, no, but I get it. Production-wise, all that stuff, sure.
Too big to fail.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Everything Everywhere All at Once is, dude, it's got the staying power. It's been around forever. I can't believe it. I gotta be honest, I don't know anything about Triangle of Sadness. I'm really surprised about that because I just haven't heard anything about it. Yeah, a couple of these I haven't checked out. I do want to check out All Quiet on the Western Front. The production, from what I've seen production-wise of that movie, not surprised it got all the love it did. So, yeah, I like some, confused by others, but overall, I think it's fine.
The Oscars in a nutshell. Yeah. Like it and confused. Yeah. But John, I know you've seen a couple of these. Are you glad to see the ones you did see nominated here?
Yeah, I mean, again, almost in the same vein as Avatar. Top Gun is almost too big to fail. You know, you're expecting it to at least get something.
But not in Best Picture. I mean, we
No,
think of
but
blockbuster,
I think
not really.
I think a Best Picture nomination is what I expect, not to win, but a nomination, sure.
Yeah, they've been given like a blockbuster spot recently, especially they want the viewers to want to tune in, and you got to admit, Top Gun like saved the box office this year.
Yeah, but
so yeah, it's like here's your consolation. I mean,
if I was, say somebody like Black Panther or something like that, I would say, why are we not in this category too?
We'll talk about that in a minute, because yeah, I have some thoughts of maybe why that's not here. Yeah, so there's a lot of nominations, yeah, Everything Everywhere led with 11. That's the one that seems to be like the favorite right now. That's really picking up steam. That's the one we said. It was that film, The Banshees of Inisherin, and The Fabelmans were like the top 3 that were getting all the PGA and the DGA and the SAG, all the love from all the guilds. Like those are probably the top tier films, and we can also see here with the nominations doing so well. But yeah, there was some snubs, just overall, just looking at the numbers. There were 0 nominations for Nope. Maybe Jordan Peele is an Oscar winner. I mean, couldn't get anything in there, even for visual effects, for screenplay, for sound something. The Woman King, Viola Davis, that film, very popular at the box office, picking up some awards here and there. Nothing for that. She Said, the film about a very important Hollywood issue, a film about Hollywood. People thought maybe screenplay. Nope, nothing. So there was a lot of films did really well. A lot of films did not even place here. But I want to look at the PGA, the Producers Guild, and compare it to these 10 nominees, because normally they are pretty close. Normally, it's like, okay, they get the majority right. They did pretty well. Again, they went maybe a little bit more blockbuster. These are the PGA nominees. There are 10. Avatar 2, Banshees of Inisherin, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, Elvis, Everything Everywhere, The Fabelmans, Glass Onion, Tar, Top Gun Maverick, and The Whale. Now, we need to pretty much swap out Glass Onion, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, and The Whale, and put in All Quiet on the Western Front, Triangle of Sadness, and Women Talking. Those were the 3 that didn't overlap here. And so I want to maybe talk about those 3 films a little bit here, even though I haven't seen those 3 films. I still want to talk about them, at least stats wise. Triangle of Sadness, you mentioned, Kyle. It's actually the Cannes Palme d'Or winner. It was here with 3 nominations. It got the picture, it got Best Director and Best Screenplay nominations. Meanwhile, Women Talking got 2 nominations total, and that was for Adapted Screenplay and for Film. And I always find it's weird when this happens, when you have a Best Picture like nominee and like they have like 2 nominations.
Because you would expect that the rest of the film, if it was Best Picture, it would have something else attached to it, you would assume.
Exactly. Like Triangle of Sadness literally has what Licorice Pizza did last year, where it got picture, it got director, it got screenplay. That's it. And, normally this would be like a bad sign. Normally this is like, like you're not getting much love anywhere else. But then Coda defied all expectations last year, only had 3 nominations, one of which was Best Picture, and it won Best Picture.
Yeah.
So anything could really happen nowadays. But I would have thought, though, a film with more nominations, like Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, that got 5 nominations, 2 more than Triangle, 3 more than Women Talking, like, it would maybe have shown in the Best Picture race. It got love in supporting actress, makeup and hair, costume, song, a bunch of other things. So I'm like, are they being very, like, very... Like, I don't know, we got 2 spots for blockbusters. It's Avatar and Top Gun Maverick. Sorry, that's it.
Yeah.
We can't give all the spots. We got to have some indie films. We got to have some, Triangle of Sadness in there.
Is that how the voting works, or are we suggesting that they are pushing certain things? I don't know.
I don't know. It's all about the campaigns. Is it like, is it the sequelitis? Because a lot of times, yes, sequels normally don't do that well at the box office, not the box office, at Oscars, but obviously Avatar 2 and Top Gun Maverick were sequels and big exceptions to those rules. I would say, like, overall, if I was like looking at like the stock for these two films, I would say I think it's neutral on Women Talking. I mean, we talked about how it got the SAG nomination, for Best Ensemble, which was good. That's definitely being the top 5 for SAG Ensemble, but very small showing here. So it's like, okay, you didn't really get much love anywhere else. But I think the other one on this list, if we look at the 5 nominees for SAG, Babylon, The Banshees of Inisherin, Everything Everywhere, The Fabelmans, and Women Talking, we already talked about those other 3. Those other 3 are the top frontrunners. But Babylon, I feel like their stock definitely went down
For
today.
sure.
I mean, it got score, production design, and costumes. 3. Like this was a film, again, another one about Hollywood that was supposed to be this big spectacle with big stars, Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie, Damien Chazelle, and it just was too divisive, I guess. It just didn't connect.
Yeah.
But I don't know. One film that did connect really well and also connect at the BAFTAs was All Quiet on the Western Front. It was pretty quiet for a while. Just leading up to the BAFTAs last week. And then it really made some noise there. It led with 14 nominations at the BAFTAs, tying for the most nominated non-English language film in the awards history. It got Best Picture, Best Film Not in an English Language, Director, Adapted Screenplay. Did really well. And then right behind those, again, the ones we've been saying over and over, The Banshees of Inisherin and Everything Everywhere with 10. So they did really well at the BAFTAs as well. I know, Kyle, you said you're excited to see this one?
Yeah, I haven't checked it out yet, but I am excited to see it. I will say, I think their thing has been a lot of campaigning. I swear, anytime I go on any of the trade sites or anything like that, their stuff is always popping up. I see a lot of their stuff on Twitter as well. So I think it could be campaigning. I think it could be one where it picks up steam, and I think it could be one of those where maybe it sneaks a couple of production wins away from Avatar. So I think but I am excited. I think it's a longer movie, so I've just kind of been like, I got to be in the mood for it, because it's a very, very intense depiction. So
and this kind of makes sense. I feel like for the BAFTAs, I think they also really loved 1917 a year or two ago. So it's like, this is kind of right in their wheelhouse. And I think for that campaigning you've been talking about, this is a Netflix release, and Netflix kind of has the money to spend on this one this year, because I think they had a bunch of other ones that they were hoping would be nominated films. They had the Alejandro Inarritu Bardo movie, which we'll mention in a little bit. Didn't really connect. White Noise, the Noah Baumbach movie, didn't really connect. So it's like, instead of having all these different ones, like in years past where they would have like Don't Look Up and The Power of the Dog and all these other ones, they have to split their budget. It's like, this year it's like, all right, this is our horse. We're going all in. Like, this is it. So they could spend all their money really promoting this one.
I don't think it's got the juice to win. I mean, just Best Picture. I think it's going to be either Banshees or Everything Everywhere. But, why not? Why not try and sneak a couple of awards and blast that out to the followers and watchers and try and get a few more viewers,
Yeah. Well, there was another big film that failed to connect at the BAFTAs and also at the Oscars, but that's James Cameron's Avatar 2. It only got 2 nominations at the BAFTAs for special visual effects and sound. And then at the Oscars today, I feel like they had pretty much a down morning. Sure, they got a Best Picture nom, that's great. But I was really surprised it didn't get more of like the below the line technical categories. They get just a total of 4 nominations: picture, sound, production design, and visual effects. And if you can compare it, to some past ones, Dune last year got 10 nominations. It wasn't there for director, it wasn't there in acting. Mad Max back in 2016, 10 nominations as well. Even the original Avatar, 9 nominations. So for only 4, I feel like, it's, I wasn't expecting any acting nominations for Avatar.
But a director, maybe.
A director, maybe. Definitely some, at least more below the line categories. But I don't know. Is it sequelitis? Is it just like, we've seen that before? We've awarded it before? I don't know.
I mean, visual effects, sure. Totally down with that. But I mean, I don't know. I'm sure the undertaking of this movie was insane, or at least he makes it sound like it. So, but that doesn't translate to awards. They don't just give you awards for the hardest working. You know what I mean? It's
A for effort.
It's gotta, something else has to be with it. I mean, we talked about the story, and it could just be the movie itself turns people off. It doesn't have to be. You could have these voters that, would rather watch something else than Blue People or something. I don't know. You never know what's going through voters' minds. Clearly,
especially in that week, in that only week of voting for nominations, and then they have to do it again.
From the voting body, when they do that Hollywood Reporter thing or Variety, when it's like, this guy pissed me off in '85, so you know what? Screw his film. And it's just like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, the brutally honest Oscar ballots. But, I mean, we mentioned no love for James Cameron in directing, and we can look at the DGAs a little bit and compare it. At the DGAs, Top Gun Maverick's Joseph Kosinski made it in over James Cameron there, but both of these guys were snubbed for the Oscars today. Let's see, pretty much it's exactly the same as the DGA, except Triangle of Sadness's Ruben Östlund made it in over Joseph Kosinski there for Top Gun Maverick. Yes, we got the other nominees include the Daniels from Everything Everywhere, Todd Field for Tar, Martin McDonagh for Banshees, and Steven Spielberg for The Fabelmans. Any thoughts on the directing race there?
I have to watch the Triangle of Sadness to really get a feel for that, because it got a lot more nominations than I even thought. So, but I'm not surprised by any of the others. I mean, the others seem right in line. I guess it was that little outlier that allowed this this guy to come in. So, but I think
just 3 nominations for Triangle of Sadness, and one of which is director. And I feel like the last few years there's been like a surprise spot. Maybe I think it's the voting body has a more international voice than it did in years past. I mean, if you even look at last year, we had the Japanese film director for Drive My Car make it in here. The Danish director Thomas Vinterberg, I think the year before, for Another Round. And then, I mean, obviously this year, Swedish filmmaker making it in. So it's his film only had 2 other nominations that day. All these other films have 11 and 10 and 9 nominations. So it's usually a smaller, more personal film than the obvious blockbuster, I guess.
Didn't that guy from Another Round win too? Or did he win a screen? There was one where he was talking. I know he did a speech. I remember that.
That is true. I think he might have won for international feature.
Okay. I remember the dude doing a speech.
Been it. Yeah, I'm doing a quick poll here. I mean, obviously last year Jane Campion, the year before Chloe Zhao, and then Bong Joon-ho for Parasite. It was the last 3 winners there.
Okay.
But yeah, so let's move now to acting. I got some thoughts on acting. 16 of the 20 nominations for all the acting categories are all first-time nominees. So we got a lot of new blood here in the acting categories. Let's start with Best Actor in a Leading Role. And of course, you had the 3 favorites we've seen so far this season: Austin Butler for Elvis, Colin Farrell for Banshees, Brendan Fraser for The Whale. And then you kind of had 2 kind of indie film surprises, I think, with Paul Mescal for After Sun, and then Bill Nighy for Living.
This almost feels like what happens with the female category, where it's you'll have just random movies that it's who
have one nomination and that's it.
And so I don't know if that's what's happening with the acting categories here, but Brendan Fraser was in the mix all along. I feel like Austin Butler has been the main constant for that film. So, and then Colin Farrell was fantastic. But I'll have to see. I really like Paul Mescal, but it's interesting to see him get a nomination, and he's still so young, right? He's still so young.
I think he's like 26, and that like blew my mind today. I was like, not expecting him that young. But yeah, sorry, Tom, no Top Gun Maverick nom for you. There was a lot of people thinking that because it's like not the strongest, craziest category that this year, that it's like maybe he could slip in and, be a surprise, but.
Has he ever won?
I know he's never won. He's definitely been nominated 2 or 3 times, but.
For some of those movies in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, like Jerry Maguire, I believe, but yeah, not yet for Tom. Maybe for Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1. I mean,
he's doing,
he's gonna get an honorary Oscar at some point for sure.
Because I think he might be past the time of just like doing those, the
all he needs to do is just to do like a dramatic, like a really dramatic indie
what
film
I'm saying,
or something like that. He would get it and he would get a nomination.
I don't think that fulfills him anymore. I think it's all about.
I don't think he wants to
jump out of a plane to be fulfilled at this point.
I think that's his vibe now.
It's the adrenaline for him. But like if he wanted an award, you do a film, and I think he would get a nomination. But like right now, he keeps doing the blockbusters. He's not gonna get one.
I'm surprised he's not trying to do nukes now that we've had other shows trying to do explosions.
Well, isn't he getting space?
That would be a crazy team up. Chris Nolan and Tom Cruise. Oh my god.
Well, isn't he in space? Weren't they doing the thing in the space?
So. I think that's coming. Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about Austin Butler. I said no in and out points, but I actually have 2 or 3 like stories I'm going to slip in when we're talking about some of these actors here.
Oh my God.
Austin Butler, he won the Golden Globe earlier this month for Elvis, and we all saw he may have taken method acting a bit too far because he still has the Elvis accent, and his voice coach says it may be part of him forever. She said, quote, he was never going to be, and director Baz Luhrmann didn't want him to be, an Elvis impersonator. That's the last thing they wanted him to be. What they wanted was a true connection with the personality of Elvis and his story. And that's what Austin worked on. What you saw in that Golden Globe speech, that's him. It's genuine. It's not a put on. I feel sorry if people are saying that, it's still acting, but he's actually taking the voice on board. I don't know how long it will last or if it's going to be there forever.
This is so annoying. This is like when people go away overseas and they come back and they've got like that accent and you're like, oh my God, give it up. This is ridiculous. This is just such. This is like one of those things where it's just to create more buzz for our Austin Butler. It's just so silly. It's so stupid.
Which is weird because you would think like if I was an actor, I would like want to drop the accent on the campaign trail. So then people would be like, whoa, he doesn't sound anything like he did in the film. What a transformation. Yeah. It's like, I'm not seeing that at all here. And it's like, I'm that good. But it's like, no, it's like, well, if you're just doing the same voice again, oh, that is you, like in a way. But let's hear why he thinks it's there. And it might be a scientific reason why.
Yeah, I don't even think about it. I don't think I sound like him still. But I guess I must because I hear it a lot. I think, I often liken it to when somebody lives in another country for a long time. And I had 3 years where that was my only focus in life, so I'm sure that there's just pieces of my DNA that will always be linked in that way.
In his DNA?
It's in his DNA. It's in his genes now,
people,
Kyle.
Man, jeez,
he's gonna pass it to his kids.
He's just oh my God. I don't want to hear about any acting process. Go away. You are hot. You're a hot dude that, it's just, that's what it is. And then they put more importance on it than it is. It's just, you did your best with the accent. Good for you. Let's move on. And if he sounds like him, that's probably why they hired him in the first place.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though. I mean, is he going to have this voice in other projects now? I mean, this is a bad thing to be if you're an actor. I mean, I looked up his next roles, and he has 2 roles on the docket. The Bike Riders, which is a 1968 motorcycle club movie. Okay, that could work. That could maybe work with the voice there. But the other film is Dune Part 2. I don't think it works in Dune. Like, are we gonna have him with the sandworms and all the spices?
He's gonna be
talking
riding
like
the
Elvis?
sandworm.
Sorry, Mama, I can't get no spices
he's gonna
tonight.
be riding the sandworm, playing guitar, and he's doing his best Elvis impersonation.
Well, maybe he can transform his Elvis voice into the new voice for projects, but then it goes back to the Elvis voice. It's just his Austin Butler voice is gone.
So I want to go back to what they were talking about with Baz Luhrmann, where it's like, we didn't want it to be this caricature. When you look at Baz Luhrmann's films, they are all a caricature. That's all Baz Luhrmann is. I mean, I don't know what. It's like over the top candy.
It's like, Boz, did you see what Tom Hanks was doing in Elvis? like, you weren't worried about his
voice? They were
voice?
so mesmerized by Austin Butler's Elvis that they forgot what happened to Tom Hanks.
Mm. Oh, well, that's the best actor race. Let's move to best actress. And again, we got the usual suspects here. You got the favorites, Cate Blanchett for Tar, Michelle Yeoh for Everything Everywhere All at Once, Ana de Armas for Blonde. The film also, Blonde, got led Razzie nominations with 8. So Ana de Armas was not nominated for a Razzie like it was with that Hillbilly Elegy thing a few years ago. But it is funny that it is the Razzie's favorite.
Well,
with 8 nominations.
Isn't that whole movie about her? Like it's her performance. So I imagine that's all.
Yeah, there's a lot of other
it.
problematic stuff in that movie. With outside of her, but then you have Michelle Williams for The Fabelmans. But there was a surprise here, at least to some people. Andrea Riseborough. That was a big surprise for the film To Leslie. Many people were expecting this, and I got some stuff here because I want to mention Z Milan. He's going to be like the honorary 4th co-host tonight because I asked for thoughts on Instagram. He shared many thoughts, and I'll just share a few of them about these nominations today. He said he loved the supporting actress category, thought Tom Cruise deserved a nom for acting, was sad to see Viola and Danielle snub for Ana de Armas and Andrea in this category. But his biggest question was, who is Andrea Riseborough?
Yeah.
And I got some info on this one here in the film To Leslie. How did To Leslie, this small film, do really well at the Oscars? It had a limited release. It earned just $27,000 at the box office. Well, it may have come down to a last-minute campaign push. So this obscure film needed some star power to get attention, and it got it all at once here. Celebs like Gwyneth Paltrow, Jane Fonda, Kate Winslet, Jennifer Aniston all began hyping it up on social media. And this came out of nowhere, so much so that many people started to take notice. Why is it coming everything everywhere all at once? I have 4 tweet reviews I'm going to read off from Mia Farrow, Meredith Vieira, Joe Mantegna, and Dule Hill. And I'll just read them off here on the podcast. You can see them on Twitch. Mia Farrow says, "Don't miss To Leslie, a small film with a giant heart. Directed by Michael Morris with an unforgettable performance by Andrea Riseborough. What a gem. Bravo." Okay, that was Mia Farrow. Thank you. Meredith Vieira. To Leslie movie is a small film with a giant heart. Andrea Riseborough gives the performance of a year and mentions a few of the other actors are all incredible. Please go find this gem directed by Film at Michael Morris.
Wait, Stephen Root's in it too?
I guess so. Joe Mantegna. To Leslie movie is a small film with a giant heart. Andrea Riseborough gives the performance of the year. And those actors, again, are listed. All are incredible. Directed by
Time Out.
Film by Michael Morris.
It has the same exact typos,
Dule
though.
Hill. To Leslie movie is a small film with a giant heart. Andrea Riseborough gives the performance of the year. And lists those actors again. Are all incredible. Please go find this gem. Directed by Film by Michael Morris.
What?
You see what they did there?
What?
Oh my God. So
my God.
if those tweets seem very familiar, it's because they were almost exactly word for word.
They were.
The exact same thing.
They were the same thing. What is going on?
So it sounds like I don't know the exact answer to this, but I'm assuming that some publicist, somebody was like, "Hey, do you mind saying, some stuff, about your friend, even though I said her name like 4 times,
Andrea
Riseborough. You worked with her on some projects. Do you mind saying some stuff about how like she's a gem and she gives a breathtaking performance, all this stuff?" And it's like, okay, sure, I'll say that. But I guess they didn't like rearrange it or put it into their own words because they said the exact same thing in all those tweets.
Oh my god!
Like that's why people are taking notice. It's like, well, wait a minute. If this was like an organic thing, oh, maybe one was on Monday, one was on Tuesday. Oh, this is a gem of a performance. Oh, this is a great performance. This is a breathtaking performance. No, it's all the same words.
We gotta find out. Are all these people rep by this either the same PR or the same agency?
Maybe it's they all run the same social media account and they just hit like select all.
Yeah. We'll give you 1K if you post this.
Yeah. It might be something like that.
I'm sure
the director, Michael Morris, said, "We can't even afford an ad. We live or die by people's reactions to the film. We've been so under the radar, and our only strategy has been to get people to see the film. I don't want it to become another title in the library. I want it to be seen." Look, I totally get that, but like, change up your campaign a little bit here, because if all these actors are saying the exact same thing, it almost does the opposite effect. It makes it seem like, oh, this is some like cheap ploy to get me to watch it. I don't know. It just seems like it's. I saw this like Reddit comment where it's like it feels like the beginning of a plot of like some psychological thriller. Like they're forced to manufacture buzz to make a powerful dictator director like I don't know, happy, but
or it's just like it's like the Oscar. It's like trying to prove what the Oscars is, which is a popularity contest. It's like, here's the example, boom, here's what we did, like to do that. But also, with the way social media is and the way the internet is, it's easy to find this out in about 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like, it's such a gem of a performance. Oh, like, let me copy and paste that. Who said that again? And it's like, boom, 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 boom.
What a
There's all
strange mixture of people. Mia Farrow, Meredith Vieira, which I had a chuckle when I saw that.
Yeah.
Dule Hill and Joe Mantegna. What?
And those are just the 4 tweets I pulled. I mean, there was a bunch of other actors on all their social medias. Like I said, like, I don't know if they said the exact phrasing, but Gwyneth Paltrow, Jane Fonda, Kate Winslet, Jennifer Aniston, all these actors, said very kind words about to Leslie and
maybe
Andrea's performance.
I mean, could this be the new way of promoting your film? Hey, we'll give actors with large platforms a little bit of cash.
Maybe.
And then that would be less than paying whatever Hollywood Reporter to run an ad over a certain, because they know that these people have massive followings. Why not just, pay a couple of grand, have them say something, and then word of mouth from there? Could be a unique...
Provide them copy to just paste into the box and hit go.
Yeah.
Easiest couple $1,000s you'll make all day, right?
I wish that somebody took like this poster and like always has like those pull quotes, literally pulls the tweet and then just puts like, everyone's name underneath it that said it. It's just like a huge paragraph of people's names. Or you just put the same quote like 18 times on the poster.
Yeah, they should do the one where it's like Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott, Dule Hill.
Yeah. Oh boy. Well, that's the best actress category. We got the 2 supporting ones I want to talk about real quick here. Lots of love for Banshees and Everything Everywhere in these 2 categories. I was very happy to see Stephanie Hsu for Everything Everywhere, who's been snubbed a bunch, but she made it in for supporting actress. So I was glad to see that for Everything Everywhere. Probably the most surprised to see Brian Tyree Henry.
Yeah.
I love him, but A, I didn't know he was in a movie.
Yeah.
And B, didn't know what Causeway even was before today. Yeah. He's been absent, at least with the nomination bodies this award season. There was no SAG, there was no Golden Globe. There was just an indie spirit and a Critics' Choice nom. And then today, boom, Brian Tyree Henry.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I'm worried about the Banshee dudes splitting votes here. That could be their downfall there.
Yeah. Especially when you have Kiwi
Yep.
Kwan, who's been killing it this award season, I think.
It's primed for that kind of situation.
Yeah. And then same with the supporting actress. Obviously, Angela Bassett has been doing really well this season, but then you have two actresses from Everything Everywhere in there, and it's just like, well, they cancel each other out. Like, it's always tough with a situation like that. But yeah, in the supporting actor, I saw a lot of people surprised for Judd Hirsch because I think many people assumed that Paul Dano for The Fabelmans would be in here. If any Fabelmans supporting actor was going to be in there, but nope, no Paul Dano instead.
Dude,
of Judd Hirsch.
I love Paul Dano. I will watch anything Paul Dano's in. I love Paul Dano. Has Paul Dano won yet?
No, I don't
He's
think
probably
so.
one of my favorite character actors of all time.
Yeah,
he's so good.
I'm gonna see what his stats are. I feel like maybe it must be just like one nomination for
There Will Be Blood.
Yeah, that's what I'm guessing. Did he not even? Wait a minute. Did he not even get nominated? Oh, he got a BAFTA nomination for There Will Be Blood, but I don't think he has a. He does not have a Oscar nom.
That is crazy. He's such a good actor, dude.
He got an Emmy nomination for Escape of Dannemora, which was great. If you haven't seen that,
he's great in. I think it's Prisoners. He's great in Prisoners. He's great in is it Just Mercy? Love and Mercy with the one about the Beach Boys, dude. Very, very good.
He's getting more love than half these actual Oscar nominees tonight.
I'm just love Paul Dano.
We have to do a Paul Dano cast, I guess. Let's see here. Let's look at some other categories. I'm going to run through them. I got some ones I want to talk about. If you guys have anything you want to talk about, but I want to start with original song. It's always an interesting one. RRR was probably hoping for a little bit more nomination wise. They really did like a strong do-it-yourself campaign because it wasn't selected for an international film by its home country there. So, but it only got one nomination for original song. But it could be the favorite in that category. It won the Critics' Choice and Golden Globe so far. But it wouldn't be the best original song category without Diane Warren being nominated for a film I've never heard of. And that's true again today. She earned her 14th nomination for Tell It Like a Woman. That's the film there. And on Wikipedia, when you look up, all these films and you can click on the film to see what the film is, this one doesn't have a Wikipedia page. So it's starting to make me think that this film does not actually exist. So who knows if it's real or not, but I did see she got like an honorary Oscar, like one of those honorary ones they do like a week before and they edit that little snippet into the broadcast. So she does now have an Oscar after all these nominations, but maybe she'll get a competitive one this year. But all right, I got two other categories, but you guys have any things you want to jump in on? Any categories stick out to you, Kyle?
One I'm just thinking of ones or nominations that I think should have happened. Maybe in cinematography, the Batman should have gotten in there.
Yeah, that was a big missing one for me.
I love the Batman too. That was one of my favorite movies of the year, man. That was really, really
Paul
good.
Dano.
Yes,
could have been
Paul
Dano for that.
Bring it back, Paul Dano.
But you brought up cinematography. That's gonna be perfect. That was my next one I wanted to talk about because you mentioned the Batman, but there's two films in this category that probably were hoping to get a bit more love when they at least were initially released. I mentioned them earlier tonight. Alejandro Inarritu's Bardo, False Chronicle of a Handful of Truths. That was nominated for cinematography, but that's it. Just the one nomination for that film. And then Sam Mendes, his 1917 follow-up, Empire of Light, just the one nomination here for Roger Deakins for cinematography. Probably both of those directors were like, I'm gonna Oscar favorite. I'm gonna get some awards this year, and neither of those films really connected, I guess. But
yeah. I mean, I haven't heard much about Bardo at all, but I don't know.
Yeah. And that's a Netflix release too.
Yeah, that's wild. That's crazy. But yeah, I would have just liked to see the Batman in for that category. That's the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, and then
the only other one I'm thinking of that I'm surprised by, it seems to be getting a lot of love. Puss in Boots as an animated feature film. People love it, man.
Yeah, people do. Yeah, that was it. The Last Wish,
Yes.
I think, is the subtitle for that. Yeah, I don't know if it's just what kind of year it is. There's always, one or two, like, I feel like mainstream ones in there, maybe The Turning Red, the Pixar film, but like then you always get some odd ones. You have some ones, I haven't heard of that. I'll check that out. But even Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, which is, I mean, it is animated, but it's also very much real life.
Yeah.
Like it's a blend of both. And then Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio got a nomination here, not Robert Zemeckis's panned live action Pinocchio, which was also a weird CGI Zemeckis thing. That's not nominated. That was a Razzie nominated. Like, it's very two Pinocchio films in one year. One is an Oscar nom, the other one is a Razzie nom.
Thought that.
But I do want to bring up editing. It's always usually usually in the past, a big precursor to a Best Picture win. Not necessarily like the winner of this category is the winner, but like you at least need a nom. You need to have a nom here to have a good showing, a good chance for a Best Picture win. That was broken last year with Coda. That was like a weird year. But this year it's Banshees, Elvis, Everything Everywhere, Tar, and Top Gun Maverick. So again, it goes with if it's the race between Banshees and Everything Everywhere, the stats are there.
Yeah.
But then you also could have some surprises with Elvis and Top Gun.
I'm just so confused by Elvis. I don't know what to think here.
Elvis, to me, when I was watching it, it might have, I don't know, I gotta remember if it was the best editing or the most editing. It's one of those things where
it's no Bohemian Rhapsody
did win 2-3 years ago for most editing. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But I'll be interested in what you end up thinking when you finally see Elvis at some point, Kyle.
Yeah. Which is fine. I don't mind Baz Luhrmann, but I'm just so confused by
there is a lot of love for a film, because again it came out in June, July,
and it stuck around.
It stuck around. But any other final thoughts about the Oscars? I think that might be all I got for the Oscars. We did quite a bit. 45 minutes recapping the Oscars and all the nominations today. But yeah, I think that's it for now. And we're going to have plenty more coverage leading up to everything here, because we got the ceremony March 12th on ABC. I'm sure we'll talk about the whole ceremony and how Jimmy Kimmel screws up another envelope thing. And I'm sure we'll talk about that. But before then, hopefully we're going to be joined in late February for our annual Oscar predictions versus The Good, the Bad, and the Watchable. We're hoping to have those guys on. We'll do our annual predictions, which is always a fun show. But speaking of Good, Bad, Watchable, I will say last night we recorded a 90-minute special draft episode with them. We drafted our most anticipated films for 2023. And that should be up in their feed. It'll be in their podcast feed. If not, when this is in our podcast feed, or at least in the next week or so.
Yeah.
I don't know their schedule, but it will be there shortly. So definitely check out.
I don't know how they're going to edit that one, but
yeah. Watch. It'll enter their feed. It'll be like 14 minutes. I guess that's it. Okay.
They just edit out everything that we said. Oh man.
But all right, that's it for the Oscars. We still have one more thing to do tonight. We have one more thing to do. In order to talk about it, we have to go back, set your time circuits to 1995, send us back.
In time. I'm back, baby! Gotta get back in time.
I just have to say, we haven't talked about it a lot, but I feel like I'm nailing it every single time now.
The back in time, or just the podcast in general?
Both, but specifically back in time.
Okay. I mean, the best is like John can just edit and post, and he can either, if he's in a good mood,
Yeah,
put it exactly in sync, or if
That's
he's
true.
not happy with you,
That is
he can just
true.
play it right now.
This one's going to be at the end of the show after
Yeah.
the music ends.
You know, it'd be like 20 minutes into next week's episode.
Just do, we're back, baby, and then just edit it to me like I'm nailing it right now.
Yeah. But all right, that 90s show, the series premiered 10 episodes on Netflix, January 19th. This show centers on Leah Foreman, the teenage daughter of that 70s show's Eric and Donna, and she's bonding with other teens as she spends the summer of 1995 with her grandparents, Red and Kitty. All right, John, I'm sure you got a lot to say. You've been talking about this film in our chat, or not this film, this show. It's coming. Are we talking about it? First, tell me your thoughts on that 70s show. Are you a fan of that 70s show? And what did you think? Compare and contrast, in 3 paragraphs, that to the 90s show.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some of that 70s show, but it's more recent than when it aired. Like in the last couple of years was when I really started watching some of it, and that 70s show is okay. It's something that really makes me go crazy, but I can see what they're doing. There's some good stuff, there's some bad stuff, but yeah, I've been really looking forward to that 90s show. I've been watching all the press junkets and all the media, and writing in my diary 20 days left. No. I watched it. I didn't really enjoy it that much. I'm sure we're going to get into it some more, but I feel like there were things that should have progressed that I would expect to progress from the 70s to the 90s that didn't. And the show felt like they were cramming a lot of, I don't want to say stereotypes, but like everybody is a type, all the kids, you can kind of tell what they're based on, like why they exist in the world. And it's just too much.
It feels like one dimensional, and I feel like,
yeah,
like, okay, in the original, we have a dumb character, we have a geek character, we have this it's like, all right, well, in this one, let's have a geek character and a dumb character. It's just like, okay.
Yeah, it was just too much of that for me. The other thing I had, which again, I know we're going to talk more about it, is it seemed like they had a lot of people come back just to be there for like 45 seconds. And like all the promo material I've seen is of them. Yep. It's not of the kids, which is the focus. No, like, so I don't know. I understandably, that's what's going to bring people in. But when 2/3 of the people you're bringing back are there for an episode and then not there for a while, like, why are you promoting them so much? So I don't know. I know we're going to talk some more about it, but the second episode started playing and I was like, yeah, no, thanks.
Yeah. Kyle, are you a that 70s show fan?
I am. I thought it was a solid network comedy. Obviously, there are some issues with it. Some choices that they make in later seasons that are not good. But overall, I think it's a very, very solid network comedy. So, yeah, just like John, I mean, I think they're bringing these people back, and you can clearly see where they're heading with this. It's like, oh, so you introduce these characters just to, pass them along. And of course, would I expect, Topher Grace to stick around? Probably not. And in fact, like when I was watching him deliver the lines, it's like, has he grown at all? Like, I mean, and also it feels like he's just like delivering. It's just like the delivery's not there. It felt like it's just like phone it in situation, which I get. I don't know if I'd want to come back to this kind of world, but yeah, all the characters are one note. It just feels like, you could have, if you wanted to go a new route and change things up, then change it up, use them, but then change how you want the characters to go. And it's literally rehashing all of the same characters. And I know this show is probably not meant for the three of us. It feels like it's meant for teens. It feels almost like a Nickelodeon show with the production value of it. It's very, very weird. And the acting of the kids was like, okay, I get it. You're trying. You're acting. Boom, you're acting. It felt like a Nickelodeon show. It was very weird.
That's a note I had about like the kids. I felt like it's like there was a skit on SNL about, or sketch on SNL about like the Disney Channel like overacting school, and like there's parts of that here. I will say some of the kids, you know, they're hit or miss, and I'm not going to go too much into it because obviously like I don't know their exact ages and if they're you know actually like teens, and I don't want to like you know harp on them too much here. But actually I like the main daughter Leia. Like I thought she was pretty good like acting wise, like in this world. Like I could see she's going to be a strong like lead for the show. But there's other ones that I feel like are very like one note basic Disney Channel acting, and this whole thing kind of actually reminds me of like the Boy Meets World versus the Girl Meets World reboot that they did on Disney, like the ABC to Disney. There was definitely like a change where it's like, you know, sure, this one went from Fox to Netflix, so you can still do quite a bit, you know, different than ABC to Disney, but like this is just like brighter than like the Fox version. I feel like the Fox one was like just darker, like lighting wise, let alone like, you know, story wise as well. But in that one, they mixed in stuff with Corey and Topanga with their new kids, and you got kind of like these A and B storylines. So it was something for the adults that grew up on Boy Meets World, and something for the kids that did Girl Meets World. And we have a little bit of that here in this episode. I'll say up front, I am actually not a 70s show, like, not that I'm not a fan, but I just never got into it, so I haven't really seen much of it. I know the basics, but I don't like know the dynamics and the characters that well. But I thought the strongest stuff here was with the sitcom veterans, you know, the main four, and it's just, we're not going to get that every week. Like this episode was an A-B story. 50% of the time we were with the adults, the upstairs people. 50% of the time we were with the kids. And this was like the longest episode, I think, of probably this, you know, the universe. It's at 30 minutes. All the other ones I think are, you know, the network 22 minutes or even like 26, 24 minutes on Netflix. But yeah, like we're not going to get this every week. We're going to have this stuff focusing on the kids. We're not going to get Eric and Donna realizing that they're now in their parents' shoes, and you know, like him saying Red's famous line about where he's going to stick those shoes, and you know, it's like I don't know. And so that's the thing where it's like this episode is like a hard one to base it off of, because I don't think this is what the show is going to be. I feel like the show is going to be focused on the kids, not on these guys, but that's a problem because my favorite part of this was the other guys, not the kids.
Yeah, same. And I mean, I could just be the demographic that we're in. We're older now too, but I feel like I could go back and watch that 70s show and still vibe with what's happening. Whereas this one felt like totally more adolescent, and I don't know why that is. Part of it to me was the production. Like I'm like, should this be meant to be shot in like 4K? Like it looks too good almost.
Yeah, because it's the issue like with you're on a sitcom set and the fake walls and the fake whatever.
It
so like when you shoot it that well
or something.
Yeah.
And are these kids supposed to be younger than the kids in that 70s show? It feels like they're like 5 or 8 years younger, like they're 12 and 13, like,
rather than 17, 16,
and
17.
I think that really changes the dynamic a lot.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah, I'll say one of the kids I was most confused by actually is Nate, which is Gwen's half brother and Nikki's boyfriend. And when I first saw him appear, I thought, whoa, he's doing a really good like Ashton Kutcher voice, mannerisms. I see it. I'm like, okay, like this kid is really playing like Ashton's character's kid really well. Yeah. And then Ashton Kutcher appears later in the episode, and he's like, oh, he's talking about his son. And I'm like, oh, his son's gonna come in. Nate's coming in. And then it was the other kid. It was Jay. Yeah. Jay's his kid, not Nate. So I was like, what? Yeah. Like I just didn't see that at all. I'm like, okay, well, he isn't Ashton Kutcher the dumb one, and Nate is acting dumb, and he's sounding just like Ashton Kutcher. He sounds like he is his father's son. I was so confused.
Yeah.
But
yeah, and I did not like that. I did not like Kelso's son. I thought it was just way too put on, and it didn't seem real. It felt forced. Ugh.
Oh, and that relationship with like we're gonna get with Jay and Leia. It's like, oh my god, okay, we know because it also. So then you can have the episode where Ashton Kutcher and Topher Grace come in about what are you gonna do with my daughter? Oh, what are you gonna do with my son? You know, like that whole, that's coming. It just feels so forced. But I'll talk about some of the cosmetics of the show a little bit. The opening credits. Obviously in that 70s show, you got the famous one of them in the car singing the song. Well, we don't get the opening credits in this episode. We do have opening credits for later episodes, and it's only about 12 seconds long. The attention span has to be quick nowadays. It's 12 seconds only. It's a camcorder running around the room, getting everyone's like, hi, how you doing? It's the same song, though. It's the same exact song, just, maybe more 90s. And you have a Hello, Wisconsin at the end. So any thoughts on that? Are you glad to see they sort of updated it, but not really, John? I know you have some thoughts on the quality of the open.
Yeah, well, quality aside, I mean, it makes sense you use the same. I mean, that intro is kind of pretty iconic for the show, so I wouldn't expect them to want to move to something else. But yeah, as far as quality goes, like it's I guess supposed to be emulating like the viewfinder of a video camera, but it looks like not what video cameras would look like in my opinion in 95. Like, it looks terrible. I don't know. I took a couple
It's just also
stills.
interesting because like they didn't like also sing the song like they did in the opening. It's like the song was just a background. Everyone's just like,
yeah,
it's like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised by this. They have to have some kind of through line back to whatever they're referencing, right?
They got the interstitials of them dancing in front of the 90s backdrops instead of the 70s patterns. So they kept that the same.
That is cool.
They got that going. And then they had the camera spin scene. This time is with the 4 upstairs people, spinning around. I don't know. Maybe it's just the Netflix, the high quality thing. I was getting a little like sick watching it. Like, it looks too good. Like, when you do it now with that camera and like it's too start and stop.
I think it was
getting a little
missing the motion blur that you get with the film they probably were doing back whenever they were filming it,
Well, and I think that the one with the upstairs, the camera, gave them the perfect opportunity for the best line of the whole. For me was, Eric, all right, time to put down the Zima, and it would be like such a drink that Eric would be drinking. So it was an old malt liquor.
There's some good like references, like with the times and stuff. But I was telling John before the podcast, I was annoyed with the 8-track mention because to me, like, I think kids in the 90s, the early 90s, would know what an 8-track is. Like, it would be around.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it would be like this, like, prehistoric, like, thing that they wouldn't get what this is. Like, their parents would still be listening to music on these 8-tracks. They would have those in the house. Like, just like when we were growing up in, probably in the 2010s, there was still a VHS player in my house. I knew what a VHS tape was. You know what a record player is.
Yeah. I don't know.
I think if you asked a 2005 kid what an 8-track is, I don't think he would know. But a 95 kid who was, what was before? 12, if they're 12 years old, all right, they were born in the early 80s. Like, it's not that far.
Yeah, I guess you're right. What was around then? Cassettes?
Yeah.
Cassettes, reel-to-reel tapes. 8-tracks.
But yeah, it's like how like we knew about cassettes when we had CDs. Yeah. So it's like there's definitely, oh well, that's just a nitpick. But one of my things I wasn't like just annoyed about because it is a sitcom. We kept the laugh track here. It's just, this was unbearable to me. And the audience, because this I don't think was filmed in a live studio audience, the audience there was going nuts for each character coming in on the screen. It's like, are you at all surprised?
Somebody sweetened it a little too much.
Yeah. And I felt like there's scenes that like, if they just took the laugh track out, I think the scene would still work.
Yeah.
There was like, I can tell where the joke is. Like, you don't need to hit me over the head or like laugh here laugh here.
But
It's
yeah,
like,
but
okay.
also, I mean, there's times where they add the laugh track, and I'm like, that wasn't a joke. Where was the joke? You have laughing underneath it, but that was not a joke.
Yeah, it's just to fill time and for the pacing of the episode, and it really just doesn't work because again, I really don't think that this was filmed in a live studio audience format. I would be really surprised. COVID aside, I don't think they're doing like a live audience for this every week, but and then it still has like the sitcom like beats where like it has to finish at, you know, the end of the episode with this either moral or this wrap up, this bow. And like, is there any reason for Donna at the end of the episode to finally say, "Bye, Mom"? Like, there's no reason. Like, there was no.
Yeah.
They had no
reason.
interaction.
Like,
No,
there was
nothing resolved between them to make it okay to do that.
If there was a storyline, if there was a scene, if there was something where they talked about it and they worked through something or they helped each other on something. But no, it was just because, oh, it's the end of the episode and we want the audience to go, "Aww." That was it. So it's just like, it has those things which again are just annoying where it's like you're following the sitcom things beats so hard. And it's like, you don't have to follow everything to a T from a structure that was built in the 1950s of a sitcom.
Yeah.
You're moving 20 years into the future.
You're on Netflix, you're on streaming. Yeah,
make your practices reflect that.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, I wasn't a 70s show fan. I'm definitely not a 90s show fan. I'm not going to be watching the rest of the episodes. Are you guys going to be watching more, John?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
I'm good too. I honestly don't think this is for anyone over a certain age. I don't think so.
16?
Yeah. It really does feel like a Nickelodeon show. I don't know why, but that's what keeps popping in my, because I didn't watch Nickelodeon at all, but whenever I see like the Selena Gomez or any of those like in passing, it looks exactly like this. So
yeah. Is it like the Girl Meets World where it's like, you know, are we supposed to have, I mean, I don't, the timing wouldn't work out right, but like, if this was made for like us and to watch with our kids, like,
I mean, maybe I think about,
I don't know.
my sister really liked this show, and I mean, she has a 12-year-old and a 17-year-old.
So let me know if they end up watching it and what they think.
Do an experiment and introduce them to it, and let's see if they like
my
it.
16-year-old niece loves that 70s show, so I would be interested to see.
Yeah, I would be really curious of what she thinks about.
Get him on for a quick check.
Yeah. Quick check. Okay. But no time for a quick check this week. That is it for this week's episode. Next week we have 2 new streaming shows that we could talk about. We have Poker Face on Peacock and Shrinking on Apple TV Plus. I don't have those services either which, so I got to figure out which one I'm going to subscribe to. And maybe we'll talk offline. We'll say, oh, which one is it worth subscribing to? And then we'll watch at least one of those. Maybe we'll watch both. We'll see. But yeah, those will be next week. You can find episodes of the podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, the blog, doredundancy.com, Twitch, twitch.tv/doredundancy. We were on Tuesday this week. We're back to Monday next week, Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern on Twitch. And you can follow us on Twitter and on Instagram at @doredundancy. I got to thank both you guys for joining me tonight. Spending another hour this week, talking about all this stuff with me, breaking down the Oscars. A very quick turnaround to get this episode out just hours after the nominations today. Thank you guys so much.
Yep. You can add it to my per diem.
I think I just heard him say, "We're back, baby." I don't know if the per diem is worth it at this point. All right. Until next time, I'm David Allen.
I'm John Berwick.
And I'm Kyle Bridger.
And that's all we got for Do or Duncy. Goodbye, everybody.
We're back, baby. I'm nailing it right now.